Pikmin 4, new game from Nintendo for Switch. And today we're going to take a spoiler-free look at what is it and whether it is worth your money and time. Pikmin 4 is a real-time strategy, but in it you control not your troops, but one character. And this character, with your help, gives commands to his squad. In the story, a certain captain of a spaceship, which we played in the first and second parts and which appeared in the third, crashed on an unknown planet, which happens to be similar to ours. His ship is wrecked and he needs to collect the scattered parts of this ship to return home. We start the game when the ship is almost complete. Playing as the captain, we are looking for a space radio. And after we found it, we send SOS signal. A rescue team is sent to help us. But they also crash on our planet. How do you recruit captains? Where did you learn to drive? GTA? You are hired. After that, it turns out that in fact we will not play as the old hero, for which we played in the previous parts, but the rookie who was sent to save everyone. I think I saw it somewhere. Metal Gear Solid 2? We create our own character. And yes, the editor is simple, but here you can create all members of your family. As soon as you arrive on the planet, you will immediately find one of the missing members of the rescuers, a bipedal duck named Ochi. I'll call it Scooby-Doo. I can't pronounce Ochi.
You find the Scooby-Doo. He will always travel with us and help in everything. As well as it can be upgraded, so then he can, for example, carry objects of greater weight, or his health will regenerate faster.
You can give him commands. For example, if you're blocked by flower spot, you can command Scooby-Doo to smash his head into them and make a path. And you might have a question. How did the flower pots block your passage? They're small. It's simple. Remember I said that the protagonist came to a planet very similar to ours. The scene is that the protagonist is very small, about the size of an ant, and so everything around him is gigantic. And basically we have to spend time somewhere in the backyard of the house among the grass. And yes, you may say, but this is our world. Why did you say it only looks like it? I'll explain it later. Then we find our spaceship and realize that it is our base. And we learn that to get off this planet, we will need to collect common household items, such as spoons, pencils and similar. But not the ordinary ones, the shiny ones, because they store the resource we need. Unlucky, we can't bring the item ourselves, and then we finally find the Pikmin, strange little men with flowers on their heads. And here the main gameplay begins. You see, all the main character can do is walk and whistle. That's it. That's twice as much as my boss.
What did you say? No food for the next few days.
But with this whistle, we can call the nearest Pikmin to us. And they start running with us. Further, when we run, in front of us we can see a scope, and with its help we aim at different objects to throw the Pikmin to them. Here's one example. We need to bring an object to the ship. We whistle to the Pikmin, they now run with us, and then we aim at the desired object, and pressing the A button we throw the required number of Pikmin there. When we throw the minimum number of Pikmin, they will take this object and carry it to the base. And this particular team leader simulation is the core gameplay. Pikmins come in different types, and they differ not only in color but also in functionality. For example, reds are basic Pikmins that have only protection from fire attacks. Ice Pikmins can freeze enemies and the water. Yellows have resistance to electricity, and many others. And the point here is that in Pikmin, the creator decided to focus on quality rather than quantity. So the types of Pikmins are not dozens, but at the same time they're very different, as well as the functionality in which they can be used. All these Pikmins will be needed for you to solve various special puzzles and defeat various enemies to get to your goal. And this will be the main gameplay in this game, we'll constantly find ourselves at different levels, and we will need to get from point A to point B, or find the object we need and deliver it to the base. Enemies will also be different. Some will be very hard, some will breathe fire, some will fly, others will swim underwater, and all of them will need a different approach. And that's where I want to say why this planet only resembles ours. The thing is that although the environment is really similar to ours, but at the same time the enemies on the map are strange creatures that only resemble the creatures on our planet. Although I realize that this is added solely because to look at the real insects would not be interesting. However, in my opinion, our most and major enemy will not be insects and similar creatures, but my worst enemy in all games. Countdown. It's a final countdown. We can only travel through the levels during the day, and by the end of the day we need not only to collect the resources we need, but also to get back to the ship, and more importantly to bring the Pikmin with us, because they really like to get lost along the way. Plus, when you send them to an object, they can take it to the base and then return to the place where you threw them. And if you left to do your own thing while they were carrying items, you have to go back for them. Plus, they are constantly lost somewhere along the way. So, Pikmin is also a simulator of a kindergarten teacher. And if you don't return the Pikmin to the ship by the end of the day, night predators will come out of the ground and eat everyone who is left on the map. While you and your rescued Pikmins will spend the night in space on your ship. And you may have a question: where do Pikmin come from? Do we really have them to fun with each other? You know, that kind of fun like bears in Baldur's Gate 3. Traveling through the world, you will find flowers with numbers. They will change colors. And when they light up with the color of the Pikmin you need now, you can throw some of them in the flowers. They will take them to the base, and from them will appear new Pikmins. Also, after killing your enemies, Pikmin will carry their corpses to the base. And from their corpses will also appear new Pikmins. Family friendly. Not bad, Nintendo. Not bad. And it's worse, considering that you can only take a limited number of Pikmins with you. So you will always need to plan how many of them to take. However, it's not the hardcore strategy game. And given that and overall atmosphere of the game, it's quite suitable for both adults and children.
Also, in the game there are dungeons. They are similar to the dungeons from The Legend of Zelda, for there are all sorts of special puzzles. For example, you'll need to pass escalators that go in different directions, but you can do it. And then to do so, you will need to be near the button that changes the direction of the escalator, and Scooby-Doo past them. And yes, in Pigments you can play as for the main character and separately for Scooby-Doo, which adds variety to the passage of some levels. Plus, in the game you will find everywhere raw material, blue crystals. They can lie on the ground, fall out of enemies or broken objects. They're used for three things. Firstly, to fix things such as a breach. Secondly, to create new outfits for yourself and Scooby-Doo, such as fireproof clothing, and consumables such as first aid kits.
Also, in the game there is multiplayer for 2 people on one screen. And I'll be honest, I didn't like the Pigments. However, when I played it with somebody on the split screen, this game began to feel differently. So I highly recommend it to pass with someone. A friend, a parent, a child. Believe me, it will bring you a lot of fun. To summarize, I like this game. It's unusual, crazy, different from others, and I like it. I like to play something that's different from the most other games. Something where I can get a new experience. So yes, this game is worth its money and spending time. So I suggest you to buy it and play it, especially with somebody on the multiplayer. So go on and start the insect genocide.